Good morning. I hope that you already have learned some principle of clinical research. So this lecture, I think that is rather like a summary. So however, on Wednesday, that you have a topic of the good clinical practices and auditing. So that will complementing this one. But actually, if we start with CCP, you may understand this, in a better way. But however, I think that it's okay both ways. So, because when we talk about the trial management of the multi-center trial, I'm not sure whether you have background. Maybe why not you introduce yourself a little bit so that I know your background.
I'm Brad from Maldives.
Maldives? Okay. So, Okay. So I myself come from the faculty of tropical medicine. My background is really work on the clinical research mainly, and also especially on the vaccine trial, research and development over the past, I think, nearly 30 years. So when I started just now with the trial management in the last year of the multi-center trial, you need to have a background what's really the GCP that I will talk on Wednesday. But however, this session I will rather emphasize how you organize. So it includes the administrative, how to organize a trial. And if you duplicate that into many centers, so it's a multi-center trial. Why I say that? Because when we talk about multi-center trial, it means that there should be certain things or certain issues that every site is doing the same thing. Right? So that you need to have certain issues or certain things that really regulate the sites. That they should do. These are the important things that you should do the same. Otherwise, it can be varied, depends on the site. But the core integrity of the trial should be the same. Okay, so that's the message, the key message that I would like to convey. On the multi-center trial. Now, you have to think of various sites, that is maybe more than one site, but actually maybe more than 4 sites. So now I'm not sure whether you have shown this slide. This slide, I like it in a way that it provides a comprehensive life cycle of researchers. That's all of us. When you choose the clinical epidemiology or you choose to do research, then it's your life cycle. If you want to take a career of research, it means that when you are doing research, it's a must that you have research idea. Otherwise, no point of doing research, right? So you start with a new idea. So when you have a new idea, then what else? It may be already done. So you need to confirm whether your idea is really new, or is it feasible, or is it really answer whatever objective you want, or is your research, your idea going to provide an impact or leading to a new findings, or new regimen, or new treatment and care, or a new vaccine, right? So how to really shape up your new ideas. So how you shape up your new ideas?
First, we should do this review in article, previous article.
Yes, that's very good. That is the review literature, or we call literature review. Okay. So I think that you maybe already have learned the word literature review and the systemic review. It's a difference between the two. But however, literature review is important in research. Okay, so I will not touch on that because it's really can be a separate lecture on the literature review. But however, that help you to tailor your idea. That is really is a new idea and leads to whatever you want to. And then you also have certain idea from the review. What should be the design of the study? And what should be the data that you want to collect, right? So the literature review is very, very important for you to really helping you to write a good proposal. That's good protocol. And also design a data collection sheet in terms of the measurement of outcome. How you decide what are the parameters you want to collect, right? For example, or whether should I do this, should I do that? That's in the design of the protocol and also the data collection sheet. Okay. So I assume that you have all that. You have done and have written the protocol, have the data collection sheets or the case report form, that's what we call case report form, or sometimes we call it as patient's report form or whatever, depends on the dimension or size of your trial. Okay, so you need to send your proposal for funding and assume that you have funding. Then you activate the study. When you activate the study has to comply with the GCP. So I will tell you in the next one that what's really good clinical practice is a guideline how we conduct research that comply to patient's right or human right, that is a safety and well-being, and also scientifically sound. Then collecting the data, recording the data that has the paper trail and with the high quality of the data, so that all the data can be analyzed, can be filed, analyzed, and if it's good, then everyone believes you. And if you talk about a new drug or new vaccine, then based on that data, it can pile up, can be used for filing for licensure. Okay, so the good clinical practice, including the protocol design and the implementing the protocol, that is a trial conduct, that with the ethically sound and also with the right safety and well-being protection of us, recording, then the data entry, analyzing the data, and then with the new findings. And if you are lucky, you may lead to new findings, then further new research, new ideas. So let's activate another cycle of the grant application or something like that, or broaden, or it can be implemented or leading to a change in policy, or some other new treatment or something like that. So now when we talk about this, actually I will talk 2 lectures, I rented. So I will walk through. I will not separate TCP and the trial management. Otherwise, you will not understand the trial management as I mentioned. So I integrated 2 days to 6 hours lecture into this. So now, when we said the GCP, what is the GCP now? Me too. What are the people that involved? Of course, you as an investigator, or in the trial management, you are manager. You may be a project manager. You can be a principal investigator. When we said that you are principal investigator, means you are investigator. But if I said that you are project manager, you can be a sponsor, or you are trial manager, can be a sponsor or CRO or the contract research organization. Okay, because as a trial manager, you can select PI, you can do 5 sites altogether, and you select PI from why you select Ramat, why Chulalongkorn, why Sri Raj, or why the other countries. why Thailand, why Philippines, or why Maldives? So these are the project manager that you have to have certain things in your hands and also checklists in your hands that, okay, now I'm going to set up a multi-center trial. Then first thing, what are the sites that I should choose to run this trial? Okay, so that's why CCP comes into play. It means you will have to choose a site that I will mention later on, maybe experience, using the PI that very experienced. Oh no, you don't want the one that very experienced. If the study you think that it's like an infrastructure, it's like capacity building, or you want to strengthen something, and you have a new investigator, so you can do like that. But actually, it's not that easy to select the new investigator. Usually, we will ask the new investigator with a senior. So as a co-PI or as an investigator in the team, then later on you can move up into the leader of the team later on. But one would not jump. Otherwise, I think that there are many mistakes or let's say unforeseen situation. Because when you do the clinical research, the ethical concerns that come to burden as a PI or the trial manager, not only the ethical concerns, but also the intricacy of the trial. So it's not only patient's right, but also it's a paper trail, it's a documentation, recording of any events that might occur. For example, adverse event, reactogenicity, serious adverse event, any pregnancy, and the pregnancy outcome. So all those are the GCP compliance issues. Okay? So where are we now? Suppose I would like you to imagine that you are a protocol chair. So a protocol of PI. So when I talk about the protocol chair, I mean the one that apply for funding. Then when you get the funding, usually the NIH will do like that, then you choose the site PI. It can be really site PI. Okay? So because I don't want you to sit as sponsor, because sponsor has another way of looking at it. But I prefer that you look yourself as investigator. Because as investigator, I feel that we have more responsibility in terms of safety and well-being. Unlike the sponsor may look of the interview of data recording or whatsoever, because they want the data to be compliant and submit that for licensure. It is good. But for us, we have to take responsibility for all the trial related. So we are here and the sponsor. And so we have to interact with the sponsor, with the patients, of course, collecting all the data. And you know that we have the independent person, the ethical review committee, and also the clinical laboratory analysis. And the sponsor have to deal with authorities. Who are authorities here? The national regulatory authorities. So those are the Food and Drug Administration. Like for example, US FDA, Thai FDA, EU or EMEA or whatever, where the sponsor submit the protocol for licensure, okay, or IND. What is IND? It's an investigational new drug. So before we are starting any program, the sponsor should have a long-term comprehensive program and consult the national authority, starting from phase 1, 2, and 3. Okay. So when we talk about phase 1, what is phase 1? It's for safety only, right? First time in human. And the second one, first time in patient, and look at for safety. Okay. And then if the vaccine, we look for the immune responses. And to me, is a proof of concept for efficacy. Then 3 is a classical pivotal trial for the efficacy trial. And the data from the efficacy trial filed for licensure. Okay. So it depends on phases also how you really manage the site. Because it is a phase 1, it's really tremendous and very, very, what to say, precious in a way because it's the first time in Hong. So the safety profile is very heavy as compared to phase 3. Even though phase 3 we have safety profile, but however, the investigation is not that intensive as compared to phase 1. Okay. So phase 1 usually perform in the isolation ward or under various measures. So now, when we talk about the lab, one lab here, it can be a safety lab, it can be immune response lab, it can be your endpoint lab. For example, any measurement of outcome that you use a lab. So the lab should be quality also, have QA, QC, QA, right? So now the process of GCP is all quality. It's all the issue of quality. Okay. So why we need the independent person? Because we cannot do the trial and then we said we are good. Or we are doing for GCP, we are doing everything fine. No one believes you. So there should be something, another layer of independent layer. Okay, that's one is the ethical review committee, and the other one is a process of monitoring, auditing, and inspection. Okay. So now you are at the coordinating center. Now, coordinating center, if you are the clinical manager, the program manager, then you start off with the protocol writing because you have to design the protocol. If you are hired by the private pharmaceutical sponsor, especially big pharma, they have the clinical research and development program that usually head by the MD. Okay, for the qualifying quality usually at least trained in critical epidemiology because so that he can supervise in a broad picture of the drug. It's not internist, it's not ID, even though internist ID, but they need certain training, either certificate or master degree or PhD in epidemiology or critical epidemiology, so that they can design the protocol. Okay, that's the expectation from you, that you are clinical epidemiologist when you are graduated. So one of your career path is the director of clinical program of the pharmaceutical pharma also, and also various non-profit organizations like CARF, Bill Gates, or any other agency, FHI, or some, even CDC organization. Now, design the protocol. I assume that you have designed the protocol, okay, and good, and also, now, when you have the protocol, you should organize who should be included in the team. Like I mentioned, that you have a big protocol, for example, you said you are having a new vaccine, for example, talking about the cervical cancer vaccine. Now you think that, okay, the sample size of this protocol is about 10,000. Now when you deal with 10,000, what are the sites? How many sites should be involved? How many PI? How many countries? Now from where you select sites and countries? One is from epidemiology, because you should know what's the component of the vaccine. I give you example of cervical cancer vaccine. I'm not sure whether you know that it's manufactured by two companies. One is thick trivalent or quadrivalent, that is 611, 16 and 18 HPV types. And the other company has only bivalent, that is 16 and 18. Now the way, if you want to select the sites, you based on prevalence and incidence. You want to go to the country where high incidence of 1611, 16 and 18. And if one company, only 16 and 18, focus on cervical cancer, one company focus on the genital wart lesion, and also cervical cancer, then the selection of the site may be different areas totally, right? So you select the area based on high incidence, because that's the end where it comes from, okay? So you should know also what's the incidence of Thailand, background population of the HPV-0 positivity is about 10%. What about Philippines? What about Africa? What about Europe? What about US? Okay, so that you can select the site or select countries across the world, around the world. Because in a big pharma, why they want multi-center trial? Because we want to make the licensure quicker. It means that they have data of the country that they want to license. For example, if they want to license in Thailand, they already have, it's a rule in Thailand that the vaccine or the drug should be tested in the local population before licensure. So they have. So that's why nowadays it's really tendency of multi-center trial. Okay. Now every farmer, why? Because of this. So that when the company file licensure to US, then they file licensure in EU, in Singapore, Japan, in Thailand, in Philippines, in many countries. So they have all the data of all these countries. And they buy time and have it marketed in quicker time than the old days. Because the old days they may do the trial, for example, in very developed countries, for example, US, EU, or Singapore, or Taiwan, or Hong Kong, that have a very good infrastructure. But now, there are many countries that have good infrastructure. For example, Thailand has a very good infrastructure for clinical research, okay, among the region. I can say that the first in the region, okay, in the Southeast Asian region, and maybe one of the maybe 2 or 3 in Asia. So now, develop organization structure. One, just now I said select PI. Okay. Now, train the personnel. You said 10,000. You select maybe 40 sites. Then when you select now maybe let's have a smaller sample size. Let's say no. I have done the trial with 16,000 and we select 8 sites. Okay, so we select 8 sites based on what? Because that's all the logistics for the trial manager to really manage. So it means that if you have 16,000, you have 8 sites. It means per site you have volunteers or participants of 2,500, 2,500. So you have to think how many MDs you need, how many nursing team, how many pharmacists, how many research assistants that you need per site to really accommodate 2,500. And so you have to plan all these to require for data collection procedures. That's huge. So implement it also. And how to make all the clinical staff, all the staff train purchasing, and they know the quality that they have to be monitored and audited, or if it's fine for licensure, can be inspected by the authority, for example, FDA. Okay? So, and you imagine the forms that you need to design. Okay, various kind of forms, and you have to distribute all the forms to the inside and train them to do the same thing, to collect the same data, the same information. Mean how? Of course, by having standard operating procedure. So if you have to write a manual, so and train the science per the manual, and you guide the site based on the manual. Okay, that's how we control the quality of all the 8 sites. And you have to pay a visit and supervise all the 8 sites. And you have to plan how frequent you are going to supervise the 8 sites. Okay? So those are the forms and related materials, developing manuals needed, and also including the treatment. Now I said 16,000. So if we keep a vaccine altogether 6 doses, how many vaccine doses? So altogether more than 50 doses of vaccine. And you can imagine, talking about the vaccine alone, you need to have refrigerator that control with 2 to 8 degrees. You have to big storage with 50,000 and distribute to all the 8. And what's the capacity of each small site that can keep the vaccine, either per week, per month, or per day. Then what about the backup power supply? Okay, so all these are quality control. How you control the temperature. And you need to have document to demonstrate that the vaccine is 2 to 8, and who is doing that, how is checked that it's 2 to 8. Is it manual, is it automated? And if it's a loss of power, how is that? How you know that? How the message reach you if the power shut down? What's the second plan? All these you have to write it before you start the trial. Okay, so you have to think of all these before. The same thing for the records. You imagine each site with 2,500 with the records, and maybe the binder is this big. So whether the clinical site, have enough space to store, because the storage of the source document needs to store for a long time, and it has to be kept locked, because these are the confidential documents. Okay, so you have to look at the space, okay, the records of the meetings, the repository, the manuals, and you serve as the funding center. If suppose you are the one that the program chair, then you will receive funding. Then you have to also distribute to all the sites. So you have to have a finance section as well that helping you with all the financial issues. Okay, how that operated, either by consortium. For example, the lab that I'm talking about, whether you are using central lab or it's not, or each center has individual lab. That's difficult because you have to have QA of each 8 labs. That's difficult. Usually they use a central lab, so it's monitored and it's or audit or inspect easy. Okay? And you can control easily. Okay? So, and that has to be agreement under the signed agreement, and this serve as a payment center if you are the one that involved with that. What about trial insurance? You are doing clinical research. You cannot do without trial insurance, because if anything occurs, then you cannot be responsible for that alone. So the trial insurance is very important. Okay. So usually the company is a big firm, then the company will buy the insurance. Okay. So any liability related to the product bear by the company. But however, sometimes in the case of if you receive funding from NIH, from WHO, or from like half of Bill Gates, you should add that in the budget, that you should be the one who buy the trial insurance. And in Thailand, previously only one company that have that sell this, that is the Aditya Alliance CP Bank. But now it's no more. Only a broker from Singapore, but they can buy it from Thailand. Okay, especially if we are doing phase 1. Phase 1 is a must. Okay, and also sometimes the EC also requests us to buy the individual health insurance for the phase 1. Okay, so that have to take into consideration and add in your finance, in your budget. Yes.
For phase 1, you would be having a very small sample size.
Yes.
So
But it
is
can
it
be
usually-
very expensive.
Yeah. Is it usually done multi-center or single center?
Usually you start the first time in human is a country of origin, mean the country where the drug is manufactured. But after that, it may be performed in another country. However, it depends a lot on the safety of that program, whether the company wants a safety profile in a different ethnic population, then the phase 1 can be multi-center. Okay, but usually it's very limited, because they also limited phase 1 facility. It's not. As a PI, you have to have the mobile phone open the phone because it's written in the informed consent that you can be accessed by which way. Okay, and usually easy if you give the number for Thailand like 02, they will ask you to put the mobile phone. They will refuse the 02 office number. It means that the participant cannot access PI. Okay, so it's important. And sometimes you will be checked by the monitor or auditor whether you switch on, whether you have the mobile phone on. Okay, yeah.
Is it for phase 1, is it also an RCT design?
That's important. You know, it depends. The first time in human, true first, phase 1, classical phase 1 is open. It's an open level. But if anyone want to really avoid bias, because even from my experience when we did the challenge study of the Shikara challenge, we have placebo, have dysentery like the vaccines. So later on, it turned to be randomized RCT because to avoid any bias. But usually RCT, the ratio of the placebo and the vaccine or the drug is different, maybe 2 to 1 or something like that. They use less placebo. So it depends.
Less placebo.
Less placebo. Because you want to look more safety on the study drug. But however, there were so many psychological effects on the patients or on volunteers that in the isolation ward. Because phase 1 sometimes during in the isolation ward is under stress, right? Sometimes EKG monitor with all these monitor, so the patient or the volunteers themselves are under pressure, under psychological pressure, so they may be abnormal recording of a very high adverse event or toxicity. So that's why. So, but otherwise, first time is really open. Okay, but nowadays more and more are. So now, but if it's performed in the other country, it's repeated. Usually it's 2 to 1 ratio of the RCT. So now, when we talk about the drug, the treatment, when you talk about the RCT, now how you randomize it? Okay, how the randomization number is kept, that you have to have it written in the protocol. Okay, and usually before you start up the protocol, you activate the study, you have to send the randomization envelope to the PI. And there should be an SOP written when and how the randomization code can be broken. whether the PI can break the code alone, no, usually no. Have to be up on request, consultation with the sponsor. Okay, so if you have any doubt, you report to the sponsor and convene a meeting that you want to break code. But actually, there was, one PI decided to stop temporarily the trial without listening to the sponsor. Why? Because he felt that it may be danger of safety of patients. So you have right to discontinue immediately because you are investigator. That's why I said investigator is more responsible for treatment and care, safety and well-being. The sponsor may not talking about the intensity of responsibility. Your responsibility is more in terms of treatment and care also. So talking about a dentist, also if you are doing research on your like priority area, that also is your role, to be responsible. Yes.
This is more like about the RCT course. I was wondering, is there any difference between, not all RCTs are for medicine, right? Sometimes you might have an RCT for an apprenticeship program. In which case are there differences in the RCT design?
Oh yes, that's you are talking about the implementation. If the implementation, then it's really can be a different design because it's already licensed. And if it's licensed, then you cannot conduct carcinoma. But however, now the WHO issue a guideline that how the carcinoma can be used. So you can look at that. It just recently published in the journal vaccine. Okay, the role of carcinoma in the journal. Now the WHO recommendation now, if the vaccine is licensed and is so expensive that it's not reached by the people of that country or is not implemented or is not in the national guideline of that country, the placebo can be used. Okay, because it's not reached by the people. Because certain vaccines can be very expensive. For example, HPV. HPV is very expensive. The national guideline said, okay, you can use, but it's on your own. The government is not yet provided for free. So there is hardly anyone reach or use the vaccine. Okay, so that is allowed. But however, you can avoid the design by, for example, influenza vaccine. Now I propose to pass, but pass is hesitating because Thailand launched a guideline for the influenza vaccine that even influenza vaccine in a very young children from 6 months to 2 years. Now, PATH want to do a study of another vaccine in children or infants 1 to 2 years. That is a problem because we cannot design the RCT, right? Because the guideline said it's a recommendation for 6 months to 2 years. And if we want to do a study 1 to 2 years, then we have to compare with whatever available or licensed in the country. Then the sample size is huge and lots of logistics. Now what to do? Then I propose that for the influenza vaccine, we can keep the study vaccine earlier before the season or before the announcement or the government campaign. So we can do a study 2 months earlier and finish up the enrollment for 2 months. Then so that we, like for example, we start in February, we end in April. The government announced the vaccination campaign in June. We can vaccinate, immunize placebo in June, so that we have the data till June for the study. So there is no any ethical sensitivity. So it depends on the design, on the how you design. So when you design a study, it really depends on local law, local guideline. And the other, actually one professor proposed propose even a village, a cluster randomization. It means random a village. You know, as if you have, suppose you have two villages that have nearly equal demographic profile and the incidence, and then you say you implement the vaccine, and this is just as normal, and then you compare. So there are many designs, and you will learn in your class that how you are doing in this in real life is an implementation research. Okay. I'm not experts in this, what you say, design, really. Yeah. But that's from my experience that I myself in the studies. So now implementing to detect doubt and deficiency. Like recently, my son was inspected by the university. They're really very detailed, and they are trained to capture data deficiency. So, if you are, you know, say for example, in your protocol, you said you will ask the history, medical history, to rule out or rule in exclusion and inclusion criteria. Then they will look for the history, how you check the inclusion and exclusion criteria. For example, whether the nurse have written a note on the contraceptive use to avoid pregnancy, whether is there counseling to avoid pregnancy, whether how the contraceptive is used to show it's adequate to avoid pregnancy during the trial. So you see, these are the details of recording the data, so that it's verified how you enroll the patient into the study. So that's very detailed. Okay? So we have to train on this. So as a trial manager, you have to train your team to write notes, to record your note, so that's verifiable, and have paper trail continuously, because all these are ethical concerns, whether how you enroll the patient. That I will mention in the GCP next time. What's really the important gateway in clinical research? Okay. So now you analyze, and usually behind independent analysis, that's maybe the one that have the experts on the statistics, like biostatistician. Okay, in Thailand we have very few biostatisticians, and usually they are very clever, very a kind of person that like genetics. Okay, so it's uncommon in Thailand, you know, to learn PhD in biostat or in bioanalysis. Now, site visits, when you are inspected or the audit, when you are audited, they will look how frequent the PI present at the site. They will ask for the log, the site to show the log. Whether the site is under good supervision, how frequent you go to the site. Normally, we go to the site very often during the 3 months of the opening of the trial, because you need very detailed supervision. But if there is nothing wrong or nothing, then you can leave one side, you can cross to the other side, but usually monthly interval. Okay, they will look at that. Okay, but this one should be written in the center of the So maybe we'll stop here a while to rest my voice and we'll listen. Sorry, I don't have the book in English, but you can search on the website. Okay, these are the details written. You know, it's a very good one, of course, because I'm the one who edited it. It's the whole process of clinical research. You know, if you can read
There's a English version.
No. This is the study how to write a proposal. The ethics and technical practices, example of the and all the important process or detail how to resolve the matter issue. Everything, but I have no time to translate. But it's important when you may spot it from the example. If you flip through it, maybe you can spot something because it's somehow there is an English one. And the example will be English. Like SOP. Like example of how to write the standard operating procedure. Maybe I give you one. I get it in the program so you can have it.
There are two of this?
Two, but I have here in the office.
Yeah.
One, yeah. So I will come back on Wednesday. So I will be
One other thing, this is something unrelated. Because for this course we have to submit a proposal. And
Yeah, right.
obviously at this point for us to like in your proposal you should have details of your sponsor.
No, not now. When you write a proposal, you can open that your sponsor now is Michael University. Because for the PhD that has no grant, usually through your registry, you will be supported certain amount for your research. I couldn't remember how much per year. So you can write down. But if you are advisor at the research fund, you can put as a part of your funding. Usually, advisor provide that funding for the advisor to do.
This is not an actual research proposal.
Oh, I see. Okay.
This is for the purpose of the examination.
Oh, then you can write, imagine, the threshold, NIH or whatever, you can write as a mock-up, yeah, no problem. But when you write like that, suppose you appoint someone, if you said your funding support is WHO, if you submit that to me, I will look whether you download the form for admission. So have to be careful. So I rather recommend you to use Mahidol guideline and you use MU funding. Then so that in your real proposal you get used to Mahidol format to write the proposal. Otherwise it's a mix up. Certain sponsors have different guidelines and different sensitivity.
The Milo sponsor is an English version.
Yes. Oh, we are international. You can download from the faculty of
Another
practice.
thing is,
Yeah.
for example, I have a question. My placebo and the drugs don't look the same.
Don't look the same. Yes.
Placebo should be made to look like it, isn't it? So, how do I get that? Is there a specific place from which you can get your placebos made?
Yes. But if you cannot, then you can, and when you say RCT, it means the one who provide the medication is blinded and can be a different person that evaluates safety profile. So if you cannot blind it, if you cannot blind the drug, you have to ask another independent person that gives the medication, that know the medication, and independent from the investigator. So the investigator evaluates blindly. Okay, so you understand?
Yeah, eventually you cannot blind. But what I'm saying is, suppose my medication is blind.
Oh, you want to buy,
Yeah,
but it's
yes.
expensive to ask a pharma to manufacture. There is a pharmaceutical company that can make classical for you, but it's expensive. So you need a funding support from that.
So since it is a proposal, it's sort of a mock proposal anyway.
Oh yeah.
So then
Yeah. You can make it.
It doesn't matter.
No.
What can really happen.
Yes. But I want to think of something real, even though it's small.
So in the
Yeah.
reality, which company is it that does the placebo?
The local company. For example, if you have a drug that's really similar, you can go to that private company and ask to put like just powder, starch, or sugar, or whatsoever, or starch, make the color the same. Okay. And they will calculate the cost for you. But it's expensive. But it can be made. If you ask me.
In a proposal, you should have a budget section that does that.
Yes.
So is there any way we can, website or something where we can get the information from, like how much it costs? Because it's not a real thing.
How much it costs?
Yes.
Like for example, in the old days, I have one company making the placebo that very long time ago. It's about 50,000 baht. So now maybe like maybe 200,000. It depends on how large is your sample size. Okay. So if you order large, then it may be cheaper per tablet. But if you order just for phase 1, 2, or per tablet, it's going to be very expensive. So that's why usually, if you want to really make it, usually you may perform a phase 3. Yeah. But otherwise, you can make it like a blind design by a blinding person in the phase 1, phase 2, or whatsoever. Then we can do a big phase 3. Then you can do a randomized trial. You can do it to save the cost. But you can ask the farmer. Suppose the farmer that produced that drug is very interested, or want to support him. You can ask them the drug and also the placebo. So the big pharma may have. Yeah. And I also have asked the ivermectin in the old days. So they may have, because they have run the study before, so they may have the placebo for free, even the drug for free. So if you are doing drug trial, you can ask them for free. You can ask your advisor to, with the position in the academic institute, they can ask the drug for free. Yeah. But however, that should be acknowledged in the proposal and also acknowledged in the publication. Yeah.
The thing is, this is simply a proposal that is there to test our proposal writing skill, in which case a real request will not be made, obviously. That's what I'm saying. For the sake of our proposal, how should we simply say some fake name?
Yeah. You can say placebo starch. Usually starch. Yeah, that's similar. Yeah.
And simply assume that we
But
get the funding.
But however, there is an issue of placebo. If you talk about the drug, it's easy as any time. But if you talk about the other preparation, for example, liquid or the vaccine, for example, the vaccine will have stabilizer. The vaccine may have adjuvant. Then who is your placebo? Either the adjuvant or only the stabilizer. Or sometimes they ask only saline. Is the saline your can be a good placebo? Then it depends on the person. So how to make decision whether it's a stabilizer, whether it's an adjuvant, or whether it's a saline. You have to have a good rationale why you use in the vaccine. But for the drug, tablet is easy. But for gel, tablets and all that is easy. Okay. Yeah. Herbal medicine. I have one student have a herbal medicine. He can make it. The placebo in a way make the color the same. I think the pharmaceutical, the pharmacist can make it.
A herbal medicine that is a placebo.
Yes.
So
Yes.
that's really inert product.
They can put any other herbal that is low active ingredient.
But what about side effects of any other herbal?
Then has to be proved. So that's why the ethical review committee has to agree that you use that possible. Yeah, it doesn't mean that you think that then you think that this is good. EC may ask you why and what are the effects of this one. Whether it's really no effect. Okay, so that's why I said that if you cannot make, then you should, especially global, I will ask the student to confirm an effect. So your study design will be part A and part B. Part A is confirm that the herbal medicine has an effect because you are not sure it's a herbal, right? So you are part 1 of 20 patients. Confirm whether it's really a true effect.
And
Then the part 2.
That part 1 will be RCT.
No, it's an open learning. Yes. And I can tell you that it's difficult to pass for the herbal medicine to go to phase 2. Because I have done the herbal medicine, but it's difficult area. That is the AL, compared with the ARV, the anti-HIV, the antiretroviral viral. So the herbal medicine has to confirm effect in vitro and also in the patient that it has an effect. Otherwise, it cannot compare. And you have to compare with the ART. And nowadays, ART is very strong. So herbal medicine you cannot compete with the ART.
That is for that specific situation.
Yes.
What if something like a
Simple, for
glycemic
example.
control?
For
Something
example.
that does a little bit of glycemic control or lowers cholesterol. Something that could be used as an adjunctive treatment.
Yeah, but you have to compare with the available drug. You cannot because especially the blood sugar is already available drug. So that depends on the inclusion criteria. You may do in the asymptomatic, and then you said that biochemical diabetes will be one of the inclusion criteria. Then you can do it. But in that case, you have to do a confirmed effect first. That is open again. And then before you move on and have an RCT. So usually it's like that. So for the herbal medicine, I have one student also doing antipyretic. Have an open label control effect. And compare with paracetamol. But however, it's not cannot be compared because from the open, the decline of the fever is slower than the paracetamol. So it's unethical. Yeah, so the other is one herbal medicine in psoriasis. Now, EC have asked us to test for safety in a normal individual, whether is there any side effects. So
Will that be an RCT?
yes, it is proved because the pathologist can make a cream that look like with a herbal. Yeah, general cream like urea cream or any. Yeah. So in certain situations you can do it. So even for dentists, I think that in certain situations like gum or gel or something you can do it, or liquid you can put the color into the water or something like that you can do it. But so it depends what's your preparation. Or you can do it on your own, but you need quality control and quality assurance that whether you can standardize or the lot that you are making, that should be in your procedure of making possible and the herbal medicine. For example, as we all know, how you make really the weight of the herbal ingredient consistent throughout that law. Especially if in Thailand we have one Thai herbal with various types of ingredients. And these 50 grams, this 20 grams, this whatever, and mix it up and make it to a powder and make a tablet of that then how you sanitize that machine. That you need to, if you are under the Department of Pharmacy, this is a research of the PhD of the pharmacy people, pharmacists. Then they will ask to do this first before going to the clinical. Like I was requested by the Mahasarapam University to be one to be like co-advisor to Mahasarapam, and Mahasarapam has put one of the vision that to be the leader in the herbal medicine in the northeast. So the students all doing the herbal medicine, but when we are using modern methodology, sometimes different. And herbal medicine is good in long term. It's not good for short term. So when you design a study to show an immediate effect, I think you need to have a strong evidence that your herbal medicine has immediate effect. Otherwise, usually, herbal medicine is good in a very mild or asymptomatic and prolonged quality of life, or leading to less morbidity, less mortality maybe at the end in many years. So,
it might work as an adjuvant. We can use it as an adjuvant.
Yeah, right. For example, later on, like I did a Chinese study when during the early AIDS epidemic, the Hong Kong company asked me to test one of the Chinese medicine in a liquid form. They made me the placebo. We did the placebo, but we designed a study in asymptomatic because in the CD4 less than 250, we need to have the ARV, right? So we test with the asymptomatic. But however, that study turned out to be has really cannot see the effect very well. However, the recommendation I given to the company is that why not as an adjunct? So test in the long term and together with the ARV, whether that is really smoothly or helping in the long term. So that's an alternative use of the herbal medicine. And that's anyway, the company licensed it as a nutritional supplement. That's missing no.
So, an adjunctive treatment for herbal medicine can be done even without first. You still have to go through the phase 1, phase 2, even if you intend it as an adjunctive.
It depends on the theory behind that herbal medicine. For example, for us in Thai herbal, if you quote what whole regimen is accepted by the Royal Institute. So you have to have a strong or quoted authority that they accept your ingredient that has an effect on this. So there should be a strong rationale to use that herbal. It's not just simply think of this herbal and doing the human trial. You should quote it from like in Thailand we have like for Thai herbal we will have Tanarai. We have a certain very old textbook, that passing on from generations, 100 years
The
ago.
herbal medicine originates from another country.
Other countries, if you have evidence support from that country, then it has an effect, and especially the safety profile. For example, in Thai herbal, we said that herbal doctor use it for all along, even now. They are using it. We want to prove it. That's fine. You produce the evidence. Yeah.
If it's already being used,
Yes.
that's different.
Yeah. Then you produce evidence that is recommended for us. We have like an FDA. FDA also recommends certain herbal medicine. There are certain list of herbal medicine that okay with the FDA. to use. Yes. So you can do. So now come back to our story. That if you are manager, then you said you want to go to the site now, right? You want to choose 8 sites. Where are the 8 sites? First of all, you have to do your homework. Where should the study be conducted? How to choose that? High area of incidence. For example, we are going to conduct the HIV vaccine. We just 77 provinces in Thailand where the incidence is nearly highest or highest top 10 or top 5. And if the highest, okay, we said top 5. Whether all these 5 provinces have infrastructure and the capacity to do this, or you need to set up something new. Where are these come from? From your search, from your knowledge, asking the experts, asking the Ministry of Health that who has experience in critical research, so that it's easy for you to go. And also with a high incident, an accepted incident. So you may not choose the highest, you may choose only the 3rd one, the 4th one, but infrastructure is there, it's easily implemented. Like us, I am sitting in Bangkok, how I go to Chiang Mai. So I will not choose, very far away from me, but I may choose Chiang Mai because it's just 1 hour flight. But I will not choose the one that have no flight. Or if I have to go by car, it's really 4 hours, 5 hours, and no flight direct. So I may not choose that because I spend lots of time traveling. So logistics, experience of the site, the incidents. So now let's have a review of past experiences. Okay? Then the recommendation by colleagues. And I can tell you, the trial success depends on the site PI. If you have the PI or you select the PI that never pay attention to your study, you forget that. Because there are so many logistics that has to be empowered by the PI, by the site PI. Even though the personnel are so interested and very close to you. But if the site PI, especially sometimes site PI is director, hospital director, and if hospital director have, being forced by the higher to do it, and he is not interested, sometimes if you think that it's manageable, that's okay. But if you think that it's not manageable, like for example, we have 8 sites. We know that the site that hosts that care poor performance is a sign that the site PI is not really paying attention to. That's important. But if he support, but he has no time to go or visit, that's okay. For us, because you are the one who do it, no problem. But as long as it's, they agree with all the PI support the trial. So their willingness to support in terms of policy, in terms of site personnel, even though part-time or something like that, you can hire full-time on top of that. So it's okay. But their willingness to help is important. Because they may have lots of work, but you can tell them, don't worry, but we just want your blessing. But we will hire full-time people to help all the work, no problem. Okay? So, we will contact during the professional meetings.
Do all these people get paid?
Yes, of course, by the budget that you are going to calculate. Because we consider it's allowed in time that all the people normally they are not doing research. So you are asking them to do something quality and highly qualified job. So they should be paid for what the job extra apart from their team. Yeah. And usually the government, SOMATOSH, that's the National Council, Research Council of Thailand, allowance, they have certain number of supplements. Salary, they have certain numbers. Yeah. But if you are dealing with the international funding, you can quote the private something, like for MD, like for myself, with more than 25 years, then you can imagine my friend maybe already $200,000, right? So you can request for something, but this supplement they will ask you what's the time estimate that you want to contribute as a PO. So the same thing that you are project manager, they expect full-time from you, or 75% from you, or 50% from you. Now you have to be careful. If you have more than one project under the NIH grant, they will look across the board. For example, if you set an 0.5 here and 0.5 here, they will ask you that, oh, you are a lecturer in a university. You have to do teaching, you have to go for service. How come you have one full-time estimate for the project? So you have to explain. However, you can defend that with the international collaboration, you work really 24 hours. The government is 8 hours. So that's your part-time. It's like an MD sitting in a private practice, right? So the same thing. So that you can defend as long as you have rationale for your estimate of that. So the sponsor will look at that, whether it's suitable, it's allowable also. Normally they may ask you that what's allowed in your country, because they don't want to look as also like what to say, stipulate the investigator what
Incentive.
Yeah, not more than incentive, inducement. Like inducement. So there should be a rationale. There is no inducement. Like pharmaceutical, they have to declare that to the FDA, and all the contract have to be submitted whether the budget is really too much or something like that. Why we so each level are under control by each regulation. And of course, reputation. As I mentioned, that usually we will ask young staff to pair with the senior staff so that they learn experience. Now, pre-site, you have to go to the site. You assess their interest, and you should ask how many personnel that need to be involved in your project, how many nurses, where are the space, whether you have critical space to really have patient in and dispense the drug, where the drug is dispensed, where the drug drawn, where is the lab to be sent for the safety, and where is the pharmacy to store the drug. Is it temperature control? When we say the drug kept in room 10 or 25, whether it's under air condition 24 hours, because in this weather it can be up to 35, 39, okay? But how you keep the drug from maintained at 25 twice. So usually we have a pharmacist room that 24 hours air conditioned, or you keep in the pharmacy room of the hospital, but you need to have an SOP for that, where the drug is kept, how the temperature is monitored, and if it's out of order, then how it's notified to you, what's the action, if it's the power breakage, and all that, same for the vaccine. And sometimes when you go to the site, the doctor will say, oh, per day I have 58 patients per day, or maybe 100 something within 3 hours. But mind you have to be careful. You are project manager. You should go by the inclusion and exclusion criteria. For example, even I myself, I can say that I'm experienced, but I learn every time I have new project. When I design a protocol that doing a new regimen, a new drug, protocol, in AIDS, I use a very narrow sample. I said 500 to 250. It's only 250. And I forgot to think that CD4 count can be varied even during days. When the AIDS patient has URI or any infection, the CD4 count suddenly dropped. Or if they have good exercise, the CD4 count may go beyond 500. So I have difficulties to enroll. It took me instead of 3 months, it had to be 6 months or something like that. So usually, as a doctor, you may underestimate the situation. But if you are a project manager, you have to be careful because you cannot expand the trial because it may be a certain timeline that it may be a competitive enrollment. You have insight and you say that, if you are working in a pharma, every day is money, then you say, I have to enroll this in 3 months. Then you have insight, it's a competitive enrollment. So now when you assess the site, the doctor will say, I have this and I have that. Or if you want to study like oral infection in the caries or something like that, the dentist will say, I have plenty of them. But when you select it according to inclusion, ask them to check a list per inclusion and exclusion criteria. They said maybe only 10 a week or 10 a month. Okay, so that you plan what then inside is not enough. Or inside is okay, but you have to find a second site. Tell that PI, if you want to choose a site PI, then ask your friends around to send patient to you, right? So that the site can enroll quicker. Your site, like for example, I did the herpes zoster, okay? Herpes zoster, herpes neuralgia, and I selected 4 sites. And later on, we have one satellite site because we have the doctor. Usually, Thai doctor, they also have a satellite clinic. So we ask them to enroll further. So one clinic, one site may have 2 clinics, okay, to fasten the enrollment. Otherwise, you cannot work with the timeline.
And this has to be displayed by at the proposal phase.
Then you may have to add in the budget. Means that usually when we calculate the budget, for the supply, for example, you have to have maybe 20% added to your budget. Because otherwise, the price can be increased over time, or the refrigerator can be broken, you have to buy a new one, or you may have to buy something. So the budget, usually you have to have 15 to 20% added to the actual budget. Usually you can defend by the 5% floating rate. Okay, if you have a long-term budget of 5 years, you said, okay, this year is this amount, then the second year you have 5% increase on certain items because it may, in terms of salary of the personnel, you said that you need to have increased salaries of maybe 3 to 5%, you account for that, so that you can talk to your sponsor. Like for example, NIH, etc., WHO, etc. So everyone knows your personnel you need to have social security, you need to have tax, you need to have so many things. So you accommodate that into the budget. I'm talking about a big grant, but for the Thai national, you cannot calculate overhead, you cannot calculate tax, you cannot only affect supplementation. So it depends on the rule of certain sponsor. And so that's why you have to check whether it's allowed or not allowed from that sponsor. You have to download all the forms and read all the instructions. So monitoring procedure, in the old days, Thailand has no GCP maybe 20 years ago. GCP has become very popular now only 10 years. So some senior, very senior investigators, they did not adhere to the monitor process, to the auditing process. So they was mad, or they were mad with all this procedure. So it's written that PI should accept monitoring and auditing process and should give time to this. It doesn't mean that yes, but you always disappear. Never there or something like that. That's not the case. Okay? So now you are trial manager. You should help the site. The site may not click wrong, but you should have certain requirements. I think that you are put in, like for example, access or the like project managerial program. I think the pharma usually train the manager with all those. Okay, and counting the workload, counting the full-time estimate contributed. How many full times that you need to have in the budget, and each site may be different. Each site may require different instruments. Each site may require different personnel, different workload. So you have to have that in a spreadsheet, okay? And looking at the availability, especially the MPs, okay? Because the clinical research, you need MP. It's a rule. It's a rule that in the protocol dealing with clinical trial, then it's a MP should be in your team. Now the question whether he should be the PI, no need for him to be the PI, but the MP should be in your team and should be assigned like medical monitor or something like that on behalf of the trial manager. Because when you are CRO usually have a medical monitor, okay? You all can work as a medical monitor as well. Yeah, so now I'm telling you the career path. Apart from the academic. Now, the start how many nurses, storage facilities, assessment of the subject, okay, and each routine visit. For example, you know the details of the activities for visit. Now, if that study have 10 visits, how the site can, how many volunteers or participants can do at each visit? Suppose for the informed consent process, how long it takes for each informed consent process? It may take 1 hour, 2 hours. Whether if that visit, how many you can accommodate? Maybe only 10 patients a day or 20 patients a day. So they will ask you, or you have to ask the site, whether how many you can enroll in 1 week. Is it 20 per week? Or how many per month that you can enroll? Inclusion and exclusion criteria. And you don't forget, sometimes the site forget that the activity is accumulated. Because when this one move to 1 week, each visit may be visit 5, the other may be visit 1. So it's accumulated. The site may be have, what's the max capacity of the site to accommodate? For example, 2,500 for the site. Each site have to accommodate 80 participants. That's for my site. Then I have 8 to 10 clinical research notes in there. And with 4 research assistants. So I have 12 research personnel full-time available to accommodate 80 per day during the peak period. Now, when you say like that, you have problem. When the study went off, when you finish up, you close up, you need to lay out certain personnel, right? Because you cannot manage with the budget that during the phase out, during the close out phase. So contract when you make the personnel, it has to be very clear that how many years you hire the person. Like pharmacy, we know that usually when we may dispense the pharmacy during the enrollment period of 3 or 4 months. So you may think that, oh, it's not worth it for the full time. You have asked hospital to provide some hospital pharmacy, then calculate the full time, the time estimate as a part one, so that you have no problem. Okay? So that's a trial manager. It's not to work. So assess number 2. Now talking about the qualification, I will ask whether appropriately qualified in terms of, whether he or she graduated or he or she is trained, what's the experience, assigned trust, and these they will ask the CV. Why CV? CV is very important. Not too many. Why? If you say that, oh, I want to look that I'm very famous or very busy, then they will ask that, no, you have time for this project because you are very busy based on your CV. So that's a problem. You can be a problem. Someone may be unforeseen. This can be problematic. So usually we divide the CV into the case that actively run, or is already in a passive form, or it's closed. So it has to be clear. The activities in the CV when you submit it for the proposal. Now you are applying for grant. They will look whether you have enough time to do this project. So you have to be careful when they want to look at your experience. They want to look at the time that you have time to do it, and you are qualified to do it. You are able to do based on your experience. That's your CV.
The series of all the persons in the team.
Yes, everyone. So sometimes, the nurse never had a CV before. You have to help them writing CV for them. So you do a template. Like, okay, graduation, and then current, what's the position, how many years experience, ask them to fill in, everyone fill in that, you find it before. That's what we did. Otherwise, they don't know how to write. Okay? So that's your job. That's all your job. So it's really lots of paperwork. That's why it's lots of paperwork. And you have to write a manual. Lots of manuals, standard operating procedure. Okay? GCP, therapeutic area. Maybe the book can strengthen your time. If you have Thai classes, this also English and Thai, so it may help you to learn Thai faster. And personnel must be trained in current SOP. It should be documented. And the inspector or the auditor asks you to provide the training. It's a must. They will look whether the training occurred after the trial activity or before. It should be before. They will ask you whether this MD has been trained before the trial. Why this MD involved in the trial? Is no signature in the training. Is no evidence of training. Then you have to. Okay. So these are must regularly review, update, discuss the current clinical research as part of training. So signature log. Every time when you train the site personnel, you provide a check, a list of the person, ask them to sign, and the position. And then you keep that who is the lecturer, and then sign, the PI sign, you sign, and keep that in the book. So you are as a trial manager, you have left hand and right hand. You have to hire a very expert person to help you in this. You cannot do this alone. Okay, you cannot do this alone. Usually, we will hire what we call critical operation team. So the pharma or the CRO will have a critical operation team. That is not an MD. Can be pharmacist, or can be PhD or MD pharmacist, or nurse, or can be dentist, or even MD for the oncology study, or very complicated study. MD can be monitor, can be work as medical monitor, or monitor the study. For example, WHO using only MD monitor, but for the CRO they use pharmacy monitor, monitor that train in pharmacy, or nurse, but for the WHO only MDs. And Roche, for certain projects, they use only MD. Okay, so it depends whether that project has a very high concern of safety for example, oncology. There are many adverse events, many things to look at. So that's really or maybe I guess that, for example, like oral ulcer, they use dentist, for example. Okay? So that expert in the field. Okay? So you have to have that signature log training list. facilities, office, sometimes we have to build. And you have to put that in the process. For example, you go to the provincial hospital inside. They have no space. They say, oh, doctor, I can give you only this room. How can you manage the drug, dispensing drug? If you do the ART, what's the counseling? That need confidentiality. Or where to monitor, where is the area to keep all the books, all the patient portfolio, where to keep your medicine. So this room is not enough. So you have to negotiate with the director or sub-peer. Okay, maybe I need an empty space. Then you hire what in Thailand we have like container, empty container. Then we just hire and put that in the budget and put the container and make it into a storage room and put the monitoring area over there and put all the source documentation protocol, patient file in that container. And keep locked, put air conditioning and all that. You may need that and put that in the budget. Okay? So that's why the site initiation visit, there is a checklist. Okay? I will provide a checklist for you. I'm not sure whether sorry, do you have for now? Not yet? Okay. Sorry. Sorry, you're going to ask me for this? I have only maybe if you can photocopy it, you do it. But otherwise, I can communicate next time. You have it?
Can drive.
Have drive? Yeah. I will provide this to you later on because I have example that I need to remove. So I will send you the handout file later. Why not could you please give me your email address so that I can give you the handout file. Yeah. I usually ask you to put it because it will never get lost. Otherwise, if you give me others, it will get lost. Okay? So, the office, the ward, and archiving, as I mentioned, pharmacy, I already mentioned it, the lab. And you have to pay a visit, the hospital lab. The hospital lab now in Thailand is good. But if you are working in the other country, it may not be that good. If you, for example, if you go to Vietnam or Cambodia or any other, because Thailand hospital now under hospital accreditation and also is under the electronic system. But mind you, the electronic hospital record is not fulfill the FDA requirement. So you cannot use the electronic hospital record. You have to print it out and work as a hard copy. Okay. So supplies. So the lab you should find all the lab card in your regulatory file. So as a PR or the project manager, you will have one like one book, but you have to do it on your own or ask your assistant to do it. That is the regulatory file. When you are monitor, auditor or inspector, they will ask you first thing to show the reg file. We call it reg file, or central file. What are they? Number one, has the protocol, like approved, and with the approval letter from the EC with various amended version, whatever version you have, with the informed consent, with the approval letters, and with all the educational materials like approved by EC, and also with all the QAs of the lab, the CVs of the personnel, in order to show that all the person qualified, the lab qualified, and the hour has been trained, the informed consent process has SOP. You have SOP for this, and then They will have also the paper trail of all the communication. You need to really communicate with EC during the trial. It's an ongoing, not only one time. You communicate with the sponsor. You communicate with the others or whatsoever. You have to print that out or save on the CD and then as a part of the web file. Okay, so all the communication. Storage area. Now, does the site have access to the required subject? That's what I mentioned, the inclusion and exclusion criteria. So estimate subject potential in inclusion or exclusion criteria, the internal database. So that's what I'm talking about, internal database. Hospital record is an internal database. So you need to check whether the internal database is fulfill the GCP criteria. It is not, usually not. There is none in Thailand that fulfill the requirement like an ECL. So you need to print that out at that time. For example, when you are doing the pediatric vaccine, you want a history of immunization in children on this day today. Then you have to print out the history from whatever required to today and find in the source code. So it's monitored, it can be monitored. Why? Because there is an inclusion and exclusion criteria that the volunteers will not receive any vaccines within maybe 2 weeks prior to this time. So we need to check that, and the inspector, auditor, or monitor will look for evidence that whether this does not receive any vaccine prior to this vaccine and these 2 weeks. So they will look for the note, for the evidence, or anything like that. So, which factors need to be evaluated? Okay, the investigators, you need to check the subject, the length of the study, the longer the study, the amount of work that you have to go into. It's more danger. Why? More AE, more SAE collected. It's not like an influenza vaccine. Influenza vaccine, you can do it within 60 days. It's an annual, seasonal, so new vaccine has to do it within 2 months, 3 months, and then find a prevention, hardly anything. But if you are doing cervical vaccine or the other like HIV vaccine, it's a 3.5 years follow-up with 1 year vaccine. There's 4 years, 5 years. So what's of adverse event during the trial, for the whole trial, serious adverse event, pregnancy, if there is, pregnancy outcome. So huge. Okay, with all this, length of the study. And competing study, for example, you are the PI, you may have 2 grants, and you're doing the 2 studies in parallel, and supporting staff, financial, equipment, facility, documentation, audit, easy review. So, another important of a lengthy study, whether how to maintain the patient inclusion study. You will be learned that how important to really have a sample size that till the end of the study. You calculate the sample size and accommodate maybe 5% per year of loss of follow-up, but you have 10% per year, then your power is really compromised, right? So you cannot manage, you cannot interpret the data even, and that's really jeopardizes the trial. It's very dangerous. Okay, so you have to really written in your protocol that what's the percentage of loss of follow-up that you can have, and the investigator needs to know, and what are the activities of the site to maintain the sites that they have not more than 90% retention rate, and emphasize maybe the site so happy that they achieve their enrollment, but they forgot completely how to maintain that, and they may have only 80%. And if 80% is alright for the 4 years, 5 years, but not less than that, if they have 75%, that really endanger. It's really underpowered the study that with millions or 100 millions of dollars, then it's really dangerous job with a poor retention. So you have to do that. So I stop here and then maybe I complete this part, the financial improvement, okay, study on treatment. Sometimes, it's a one criteria that you need to sign a treatment before you start. But otherwise, you cannot start at all. And sometimes the father will rush into you, want you to start a trial without the treatment. Now, it's a difficulty in a way. So there should be a certain strong agreement. Otherwise, you cannot run the trial. It's a bit dangerous to start the trial without contract or without agreement. So the study may not stop. And you also cannot do a site initiative. There are certain criteria that need to be fulfilled before you can send the green light that, okay, now you can enroll. Okay. Number one is for training of all the staff. All the contracts are signed, agreement is signed, and all the investigation of product are at the site. You train every train. Train means, also including enter into the ECIF, is the ECIF or how to do with all the manuals, with everything. So it's really equipped to run the trial. So you may need to mock the trial, mock the informed consent process, mock the clinical activity and the study before you are really set the green light. Okay, now we start with real patient. Or if you are not certain, usually what I did for the multi-center trial, I start with 1 or 2 patients per site. And I start only 1 or 2 sites. That happened a while ago. So I go to that site, we start with 1 site, then the next another site. So I complete 8 sites after 2 weeks. Okay, and I start with only few patients. Maybe only 5 patients. And then we wrap up at the end of the day. Whether is there anything. Okay. So the site confidence, you are confident that they have anything to do. Run in the night. Okay. And go to the other side. So there is no hurry for you to really start, and I'm done. Like, okay, start every site at the same time. No, unless you have a big team and or you have a very reliable site. So you can gradually plan to activate the site. And all material should go to the site. You shouldn't start the training without any materials because they cannot imagine. Okay, if they imagine, they haven't seen anything, there is a tendency of a mistake. Okay. So, like just finish the inspection. We have in the protocol written the medical history. Under the section of medical history, it's written that the participant will be asked the medical history and gynecological history. Now, what we are doing is under the medical history. So we ask in general the medical history. The inspector asks us, what about the gynecological history? That written in the protocol. We all said that, I said that our MD is gynecologist. So it's very unlikely that they are not asking the gynecologist. And it's in the protocol, it's under the general, so we decided the case data collection form like that. So we accept it. But you have to be careful. It means that he read each and every word in the protocol and check based on that whether how we enroll the patient. The financial agreement, okay, I emphasize all the operating, the travel of the patient, the recruitment, okay, SOP, compliance, and personnel, so preparation of the law, and sampling of the kids. For example, the inspector or auditor, good monitor should also visit the First, they will look at the calibration, whether the centrifuge has been calibrated annually, whether your blood pressure is calibrated. If suppose you are dealing with a vaccine and you are monitoring reactogenicity, fever is one of your data collection, how you calibrate your thermometer, how you calibrate your blood pressure. Okay, so these should be in the lab. They will check for that. Okay, and if you mention that the blood is dispensed, centrifuge with a 5,000 round per minute or whatsoever, the lab has to show calibration certificate and has to maintain that annually. Okay, so they will check all those very detailed. Okay, so receiving the time, the specimen received, so you need to design a flow. Whether the time of the blood collection, the time sent to the lab, the time received to the lab, the time that centrifuge, and the time out of the centrifuge, the time in the refrigerator, and whether the refrigerator is at -8, whether the refrigerator is calibrated. So all these are the paper that we show to the auditor or the inspector. So these are very detailed. So it's not like children toys. You can do not like a play. It's a real situation. So you have to prepare documents. You have to prepare all the supplies. You interact with the EC, interact with the patient. Sometimes SOP that you have written. When you start the trial, for example, you start the small one, you should start the mock. And you may come up, the SOP is not at all smooth. Actually, you need to revise the SOP and rewrite the SOP. Okay? So, the data processing, the how, the serious adverse event report. For example, you select the site that in Chonburi or Compacted or Ratchaburi. How will you know the SOP? Is it by fax? Is it by email? The nurse will report to you by email within 24 hours. Or how? Or it's by SMS or by which mechanism? So you need to have this, how to receive the serious adverse event. And again, EC as a ministry of the MOH want the report of the ACE within 5 working days. So when you report the initial report, there is an SAE, for example, deaths, or for example, hospitalization during the New Year time, or the personnel, 5 days holidays. So we are in your SOP, you should set 5 working days. If you forgotten the working days, then you have to work within your holidays. And it's a requirement for rare disease. If you are receiving the funding from Waterbury Army Institute of Research, it's not a 5 working days. It's a 5 days. So it's a difference between 5 days and 5 working days. 5 days mean with the holidays, counting the Saturday and Sunday. Okay, so it should be that. Otherwise, you may have deviation from the reporting of the serious adverse event. So now, you also have to plan for auditing and also inspection. And when you finish the study, you have to write a report. That is after analyzing the data, you have to write a report. So now, what are the documents required? We call investigative report. What is the investigative report? What is it? What is it? Investigative report. ภาษาไทยเรียกความลับเนี่ย
Just duties.
No, it's the details of the product. Details of the product, of the drug, of the vaccine. What's one and is which on? That's one. So the details of the program, and it's like filing of all the information from the chemistry, from the compound, from the tox study, either in the lab, in the animal study, animal testing, safety profile in animals, phase 1, phase 2, or whatsoever, all studies conducted pertaining to that program. So that's what we call investigation. So you are as investigator, you should learn. I use the word learn, not read. Learn means that you have to know the safety profile. Because in a serious adverse event, if you have to train all the investigators to give judgment whether it's related or not related to the study, vaccine or drug. When you say not related or unexpected, sometimes you also will be told to also give opinion whether it's expected or unexpected. Now the word unexpected comes from where? Or expected from where? Is from the investigation. Again, when you are doing a liability insurance, the clinical trial insurance may be in the form that the insurance will cover the unexpected. The word unexpected is means beyond whatever in the investigation. So you have to be careful. Okay? So you sometimes, and if in the protocol it may be written to report the unexpected related adverse event within 24 hours. So it means the clock start. If you judge on the site PI or the MD at the site reported as unexpected and not unrelated. Okay, so it's within 24 hours.
Even expected adverse events will be covered by insurance.
That's another insurance. It depends on the type of insurance. That's why you have to look at that carefully. Because the insurance company may issue only the insurance only for the unexpected event. And some companies may also include the expected related. So it depends. And the per diem, what you call the money that you need to pay, is also economy. It can be up to 10 million or more. And for the phase 1, it can be million.
Compensation.
For the clinical trial, for buying insurance. For buying insurance, yeah, it can be up to 10 million. Usually, the sponsor will keep aside the money like a foundation. So later on, the NGO establish a foundation so that they put in the money into that foundation and they may insure themselves under the foundation. Because lots of money, so why they give lots of money to the private insurance? SOP reports, protocol. So everyone must sign. Why everyone has to sign?
They all agree to it.
Yes, agree is not enough. They are responsible for that. Responsibility, not agree on it. They have also to conduct a study per protocol. They have to use that as a Bible. Okay, so that's why EC asks everyone to sign. And is there any amendment of the protocol, they will ask the investigator to sign, resign. And now in the form, the head of the institute has to sign, because the head of the institute has to bear the responsibility. Okay? So that's why it's allowed to give overhead of the institute. So the overhead of 10% for my university already for this they have to bear the responsibility when they account for the own and for Ramat India it could be followed. But in certain budget, in certain group, certain items, not all. So must be standardized across the body procedure. Data collection described in protocol, so must be standard. To control the description, approval, the version, and it's very important for you that you only distribute the approval version to the sites. Because if a site using the version that is not approved, then you have trouble. Because it's really not approved under the GCP and also ethical guidelines on ethics. So our ethical and faculty chocolate will stand and we will train the site to use only the stamped easy stamp version. And you have to note that down in the training that this has been trained according to the approval documents. Okay, so it's very important. And the site needs to keep a copy of the signature. And all version of the protocol should be level, dated, and final approved. And if it's during the trial is active, and you have monitored, and it's happened that the site using it not approved, you have to re-consent, call it back all participants to re-sign, to re-consent and re-sign the new version that approved. In that case, you are lucky, but the inspector will come after the trial ended, or the site already closed. Then you have no corrective action. Okay, it's very important. You are doing under umbrella of EC. So if any further change must be approved, and the subject must not receive any treatment before the protocol is approved and finalized. Okay. That's a major deviation. So, as I mentioned, the investigator will show physical, chemical, and all this. I will give you, I will send you an email. The IV must be treated confidentially. Data collection forms, diary cards. Usually we provide diary cards that is a daily record by volunteers or by participants about the adverse event reactogenicity. And ask them to submit through record. Okay? And dispensing record. And quality of life, if you are doing like pain, for example, you ask the patient to record, okay, today what's the quality of life, whether you feel good today, what's the intensity. Okay, you use a questionnaire scale. Okay, the patient form must capture all the information requested. For example, a study in France in 22 patients, the CRF required HIV test result should be recorded, but it's not required by protocol. So it's incorrect. It's actually intention that you correct something that is not in the protocol and it's not approved by EC. So neither EC are aware that HIV testing was being conducted. So at this time, if it's found during the trial, you have to amend the protocol, re-consent, calling back all participants and telling that HIV has been performed and they allowed. Should be informed. So the informed consent to registry medical device, this document must be treated differently. And unlikely, okay, unlikely to, at least, it's very incorrect to obtain names. Okay. Source law, direct to related sites, adequate. So this is important, provide adequate evidence that subject met inclusion. So this is a checklist that they have to fulfill all this. So these are the checklist information. Okay, before you activate the site. Now the role of the sponsor. If you are CRO, then you behave like sponsor. Okay? The sponsor hires CRO to act as sponsor, to monitor. Now you are in a different role. You are not investigator, you are monitor. I can tell you that monitor is something like flying in the sky. Why? Because they can tell you anything, but the final responsibility lies on the investigators. Of course, they are hired to check that the site is compliant per GCP. But during the inspection, they have no role in the process of inspection. The inspection, they inspect investigator. They are not inspect sponsor. They are not inspect monitor. They inspect sponsor. That sponsor has to comply to monitor. So they will inspect the sponsor in terms of monitoring issue. How frequent the monitoring. But all the source of the CRF are all investigator responsible. So this is sponsor. Make sure the drug at the site, monitor data management, okay, decision on serious adverse event, appointing medical monitor, appointing data safety management board, appointing independent person to look at the data, and temporarily prepare the report, archiving, auditing. Okay? So these are all. So I would like to finish this and then continue next. If you have any questions, then I think that I would like to entertain your questions.